Action.
We're in.
What's up, everybody? This is Boomerang, and we're starting a company that teaches tech education to the older generation, so usually 50 and above. Today we're going to be talking about some instances where we've had to help family members, grandparents, friends, or anyone else with technology because, as you get older, kind of lose touch with how to work different technologies, and so that's ultimately how we came up with that. So we're just going to do a lively discussion today about any funny stories that we have. So do you guys have any stories about, with your grandparents, friends, even parents that, you had to help them out with technology? Anything simple or complex story, Guys, Aaron, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I feel like one of the main things that my mom is always coming to me for is dealing with pictures and trying to take pictures. We have a whole shoeboxes and shoeboxes of years of pictures where it's the shoebox just says 1999 and then there's 2000, 2001. So it's really funny to look at that, it's in our one guest room, and then to think that just the way technology has changed so much in one lifetime is that my mom is now taking pictures on her iPhone and storing them on her iPhone. So it's the contrast of that, I feel I can understand. I think I would be pretty confused too, going from just printing stuff at I don't even know, they used to have printing stores, camera stores.
CVS has them.
Yeah.
You have to go on. We still do that sometimes.
Yeah.
But
that wall over there literally has a bunch of printed out pictures
Yeah.
from Snapchat. I can literally see Snapchat titles there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's
I don't know, maybe not all technologies need to be
Talk to the older generation. Maybe not Snapchat, but
Yeah.
something's like how to airdrop. You're talking about that
Yeah.
before, how to teach your parents how to airdrop, which I think that's an interesting one. It is weird though to think about. If you didn't know how to use it, they just select 60 photos and then try to text it to you.
No, I honestly didn't even I was late to the trend on airdrop and someone showed me and I was like, wow, and I was like, okay, I kind of feel old. But kind of going off the same thing of the technology changing over a lifetime. I remember my mom would go to visit my grandma and she would FaceTime me and my grandma would hold the phone up to her ear because she didn't know anything different, and she's like, what is going on? She's like, why can I see you through the phone? And she would just get really confused, but eventually we figured it out, but it took a couple tries to get there for sure. And she was just she didn't like it. She would and then she would drop it, or it would just be facing the ceiling. I'm like, Grandma, I can't see you or hear you for that matter.
That reminds me of Dave Portnoy. He does a bunch of podcasts and he has the wired headphones for them.
Yeah.
And he was holding the phone up to his ear, and one of the other people on the podcast was you couldn't just leave it down there, the microphone's on your cord. And he was where?
Oh, I saw that.
And he was he was so confused. So even something as simple as where to speak into or leave it is so interesting, especially because he works in media all the time and he still didn't know that you have the microphone right there. So
that's actually funny.
Yeah. So my story is kind of funny. So the way my family works is, we're all pretty old school, especially my grandfather and my grandmother, old school Italians, and they do not like technology. My grandfather doesn't even have a cell phone, he doesn't have a credit card, he has nothing. He's off the grid, you can't find him. There's only one way you can find him if you're on the farm, and that's you look around for his beagle. It's this little fat beagle that's 15 pounds. It's huge. It's massive. But that's the only way you can get in contact with him. And, every day I'll go to work, and he'll be there in the morning reading the news. Go up to the computer, type in MSN on Internet Explorer, and he's like, why isn't this working? I'm like, well, it was what, how do I get back to the other page? And I'll be like, all right, here you go. I'll just move the mouse and click it real quick. And he's like, oh, how do I get back to that? I'm like, just right here, hit the X, or hit the back arrow. And it's real funny to see because he's managed to somehow live in this society without using any of it. My nutty, that's what I call my grandmother, will go to the store for him. He literally stays on the farm and he goes to our other greenhouses. He doesn't go anywhere else. It's back and forth. You can't contact, can't call him, can't do nothing unless he's there in person. It's the only way you can talk to him. But he's managed to do it somehow. So albeit whenever something goes wrong with the technology, I'm getting the call to go walk up the hill or walk over to the store or something to go show him how to open a window. So it's real weird, but
I mean, that's definitely something that if you didn't know how to do it, I feel like that's like my grandma too. She used to have this really old computer in her basement. I don't know if they even have they no longer have Wi-Fi, so I think they had it for a little bit and then they got rid of it. But she used to only play solitaire on it. That was it. That's the only thing she knew how to do.
Yeah.
So she would go downstairs and my grandpa would be doing a puzzle and then she would just like, open up one browser and like search it and then she'd be good to go for like an hour or so. But even that, like in the beginning of the internet, I feel like that was like the main thing was just that. And now it's grown substantially to where like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I don't even know half the technology that's being used anymore either. It's like, like we had Instagram and Snapchat and like Facebook were the ones when we were a little bit younger, but now like TikTok, some of the stuff on there I don't even know how to use.
And not even like that, but even just like, this is kind of getting like a different subject, but like AI and like all of that type of stuff now that is just like so far from what technology once was. It's like insane to see that kind of growth.
Yeah.
I actually just spoke with someone yesterday. They are working with, they created an AI firm and they're probably in their 20s and they work with private equity firms and like match them with like companies to buy. So they like send out mass emails every day, which I was like, all right. And they were just a little bit older than probably us. And I was like, well, that's like insane that one, you know how to do that. And because it's continually developed and you got to like learn everything that's new, especially creating something out of nothing. Like AI just seems like it's that kind of thing where you don't know where it's coming from. So
yeah, that's super interesting. I also think like sometimes it's like not even understanding our own technology. Like, how do you make a filter? Like, I have never understood that. Like on TikTok and on Snapchat, like if you just like wanted to make one, I'm like, how do you do that? And, like,
That's
it's
actually
like,
a really hard question.
yeah, like it's just weird. Like when you really think about some of this stuff, you're like, how does this actually even work?
I mean, I guess people use like you can like go into Lightroom and like make your own presets. So I guess that's like kind of making a filter. But yeah, I don't know how they do like all the stuff that they do on Snapchat and whatever.
Yeah, that's like like the woof filter where it like turns you into a woof or something like that. Like how does that happen? Who did that?
Yeah. Wait, who's responsible?
No, some of the Snapchat filters are getting whacked.
Yeah.
I agree.
they are.
You
can make your own now too. Like with for your birthday, you just
you
request it or pay.
You pay like $5 for like I think you can have it for like a night or like 24 hours or something.
And like a certain location.
If it's like people do it for like weddings and
birthdays and stuff.
I've seen that.
So you gotta make money somehow. It's like what else do they do? Advertising.
Yeah.
And like now they have like Snapchat Plus, which like
that's crazy.
What?
But now it's gonna be like Twitter almost, right? Because now you're gonna pay like $8 for.
Yeah, you can get like verified for like $8. You just pay to get the blue check. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he also said that like they might go bankrupt within the next year, so it's like.
Really?
Hit or miss. He's like, yeah, if we don't start getting substantial revenue from our subscriptions, there's a good chance that we go bankrupt. Like, and then Twitter's gone.
Wow.
So it's hit or miss.
I'm trying to think of some other simple tasks like on the internet that our parents or grandparents would know how to do. I know for one thing, like not even related to like the internet, but also on the TV. Just like whenever my grandpa whenever he's at my home, he doesn't like work the TV. He's just like, okay, can you put this on? And then like he doesn't know how to switch the inputs or anything. Although it sounds very simple, it's like okay, like you just click the top corner and then just like go down to whatever one you have your like HDMI set to. But I feel like that's like a really simple one that but like I can understand. I feel like it's very hard going from like you said no technology to now where we're advanced to now. So if you didn't start learning it like right when it came out and started using the internet, then it's probably very hard to catch up.
Yeah,
so.
Definitely. I'm like the one that's like unplugging cable boxes and like trying to like reset the TV when it stops working. And my dad's like, Megan, can you please fix this? He's like, I'm not dealing with it, so you need to figure it out.
Yeah, I was also thinking like we were saying how much technology can change in a lifetime. Like in our like generation, like do you guys still have a home phone?
No.
I do actually, which is weird. I think we're getting rid of it though. We have like the landline and it's still connected to the wall.
I'm just sorry.
Yeah.
You gotta keep it.
I remember growing up like the like landline was like on the wall mounted and there was like this spirally cord that like connected the actual phone, and like I just always remember that because it's like how weird is that to think that like you had to stay within like the cord's length of the phone to like talk to somebody, and now we're like over here like you see people like walking back from class like with their AirPods and just like speaking into like just like it's so weird sometimes because I'm like, oh my god, they're on the phone, but it's like you could seriously think that like they're just like talking to themselves, but yeah, it's fun.
Well, that would be something that we could teach even too, like how to like set up just like a basic iPhone. Because think about it, how many different features, all the apps you could have on that, that would be beneficial to that.
Yeah, so, like Bluetooth. I feel like sometimes there's like a struggle with connecting Bluetooth. Even like for me, like sometimes I don't know. Even like my AirPods are like kind of finicky sometimes. So I feel like for the older generation, like I know my mom will be like, we always have the issue where it's like I've used her AirPods before, and so now they connect to my phone, and like vice versa, and it's like this whole thing. And she like insists that she knows how to fix it, but she doesn't. And every time I'm like, Mom, you like, can I just see your phone so that we can fix this? Because it just is gonna keep happening until I like remove them from your phone. And so that's definitely
one of the funny things is now like you can speak into your phone and like it'll write it out, and that's something that my mom loves to do. Along with along with the one type texter.
Like send the Siri send the Siri all the time.
Yeah, so she's like after dinner, she's like on the couch reading her text messages. I'll just hear her sit there and like she'll hit the button and then she'll start speaking into it and she'll be like, tell them I said hello, period, and then keep going.
Oh my gosh, that's not just period. No,
question mark.
My mom she loves punctuation. Like, she will, like, actually, like, full paragraphs with, like, periods and question marks and everything. And so when she does the speak to text, it's so funny because she's like, question mark. There's this one story that was actually so funny. My aunt also does like the speech to text all the time, and we like just clown both of them because it's just like funny. But so I think she did this twice, but she basically called my cousin and was like doing the speak to text. Like, I guess she thought that she was like recording and like texting him, but she was actually like
on the phone.
So he gets this voicemail that's like, "Hi, Robbie!" exclamation point. Like, I just got back from the store, comma, or something.
That's a funny story.
It was just like, oh my gosh, it's gone too far. Like.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's like harder to do, to like call them and like have like do that versus just like.
I know. Okay. I know. We were like, how did you do
At that point, you may as well just get on the phone.
I know.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Like, especially because like a lot of the times when my mom sends me, like, she's the one that does it the most. It'll be gibberish. Like, I'll receive a text and it'll have like 3 sentences that make sense, and then the rest just can't put them together. And then she'll be like, I'll come home and she'll ask me to do something and I won't have it done, and she'll be like, why didn't you do this? And start yelling at me, and I'll be like, read this text and tell me what I'm supposed to make.
Let me know what that says. No, my mom did that like not that long ago. She sent me a text and I texted her back. I was like, please reread that and resend whatever you just meant to say, because I don't know what that meant.
It happens.
Yeah, that's funny. You were speaking about the photos before. My mom will take like how to airdrop them. That's definitely like a useful feature. But my mom still takes them from her phone and then puts them onto our computer, like, or her computer, so that way they're in like files and everything. Not within like Google Photos or like whatever other one that you want to use. I don't know if that's like a good thing or a bad thing, but I feel like Google Photos is like useful.
I wish I could get my mom to like figure that out. And like I've always like been the one helping her with that, but like it's kind of a hard solution, honestly, because it's like then you get them on the computer and then you have to organize them on the computer, but then like can you delete them off your phone? It's like it's a struggle to like figure out how to move them back and forth. I use Google Photos and I think they're like fairly easy to use, but then at the same time, the way the companies have them structured, like Google and Apple, then you end up just paying for the storage. Once you like reach the capacity, then you're like, oh, I don't know what to do with all of them. Yeah. So then you're just like, oh, I guess I have to pay like 99 cents a month for the rest of my life to get that. So. Yeah. I know. I've always like, my cousin's really good at, I mean, she's like photography and stuff, so she's taken so many pictures, and she's figured it out with like her hard drive, or like an external hard drive is like where she keeps her pictures. But and I've like asked her about it so many times, but I just have never been able to like figure that out. Yeah. So
if there's like too much, like it just like it slows your computer down so much, you have to put it on an external drive. You just can't like it can't hold that much.
See, even some of that like terminology, I don't even understand. Like when people talk about that, I'm like, okay, I know how to like get onto my iPhone and like I'm still young too. I'm like, all right, I feel like I'm behind the curve on like how to do a lot of the stuff.
Well, that's old technology though. That's the thing. It's not like external hard drives isn't something that's very very common now.
No.
It's just got cloud computing, like cloud drives. It's just much easier because you just don't need to have the physical space.
Yeah.
That's true.
No, I have an external hard drive. That's only because like my old computer like crashed and I lost a lot of stuff. So now I'm like very paranoid about it. And I like put everything on the external drive because I'm like, I'm not trying to do that all again.
Yeah.
Because it was just a mess to try and like figure that out. So
It's actually kind of crazy though if you really think about it. You know, for the rest of your life, you're going to be paying companies like Google and all these cloud services because who's going to not pay to have photos from their whole entire life?
Yeah.
You know, like they have guaranteed customers for forever, for as long as you like use their service and don't have any other options. So like, if they ever get rid of like external hard drives or like other drives, like you gotta use them.
Yeah.
It's a good business model, I guess. You gotta keep them around.
Yeah.
That reminds me of like Apple Music though too. Like think about it when it like Apple or iTunes first came out, you used to have to pay what $1.29
like
per song
Yeah.
just for one, and then you got like a 15-second clip of like what the song was, and you're like, all right, do I buy it or not? And then unless you heard it on the radio, you like knew if it was good or not. But like now you pay as a student you pay like $5 for that, and then you get unlimited songs. I think when I talked to my parents about that, they were just so surprised because they used to have to like sit there with the cassette tape and like have to get them recorded, and then you had the Walkman. And then you'd have to like rewind it and then flip it over and put it back in. And I feel like that's it's a good like the progress between having to do that and carry that around all the way to like now having like unlimited songs in your phone.
Yeah, like you remember like even like CD play, like I think about like CD players and like DVD player, like all of that stuff, like the portable like DVD players, and I'm like now we just like have our laptops that it's like all in one. And it's like crazy we have like all these separate devices that now are just like combined into one.
It's weird though, at the same time that like technology is growing, it's also going backwards, I think, to like the stuff that was easier. Because remember how phones were like real big and bulky, and then they like got shrunken down into like, oh, they could fit in your pocket, and now the iPhones continually grow in size. Now they have flip phones back. I think Galaxy has flip phones, like a style of flip phone, but it's a smartphone at the same time. So it's weird how like it kind of works itself out. So.
It does.
Yeah.
Wait, I was just thinking of the music thing. Like, I just have such a vivid memory when I was little. Like, we had, like, a stereo where, like, you would just put the CDs in. And the only CD that I owned was the High School Musical 2 soundtrack. It was in the blue, like...
Yeah.
I literally
the blue one where they're jumping, like, on the water,
That's like,
oh, it was
such
so
a great
good.
movie.
But I would just, like, put it in and, like, sit, because it was, like, on the, like, counter. So I would just, like, get up on the counter, sit, like, directly next to the, like, stereo and listen to High School Musical 2.
Oh, yeah.
That's a childhood core memory.
That reminds me of like streaming services now. Like now you have music streaming, but you also have video streaming. Yeah. Where before
like
they used to look in a new
Blockbuster?
they used to like you'd go to Blockbuster. Like I used to go there with my dad, and like we would rent out like movies and stuff on the weekend.
Yeah, like Redbox.
Oh yeah, and that was huge too because it would be like newer movies that you could get on Redbox, but. Like, they used to, like, sit there and, like, my grandma still does it. She'll look through the channels and, like, figure out what's on for the next week. And then, like, for cable TV.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, well, we have, like, Netflix and, like, HBO and Hulu where you could literally watch, like, thousands of shows now. They have a ton. And I think that's just, like, that'd be a good thing to, like, learn because then they, you know, they don't like commercials. They don't like any of that stuff. Yeah. And for some of the packages, you don't have to worry about that either. If you
and like a lot of them now like have kind of like combined. Like I know there's a thing where you can do like Hulu and HBO Max like together, or like I have like Hulu and Spotify. It's bundled. I literally pay $5 a month for a Hulu account and Spotify through like the student. Yeah, I'm like.
Yeah, that's
it's so nice. But even like normally it's like $10, so it's.
That'd be interesting if they'd ever do like a senior citizens one. Like if they'd ever figure out how to like verify that somehow, I guess.
Yeah.
Because that'd be interesting because like think about it, like that would be able to like integrate them into the technology of like how to stream and be like, oh, they might not have some of the shows, but maybe if they added like older selections of TV shows, especially HBO, because they've been producing stuff for a while. They have like all the old Batmans and stuff on there, so. They put like the Andy Griffith show on there. I know my grandparents would be there.
Yeah, my grandparents have Netflix and like they love it. Like they watch stuff on it a lot, and they have our like Hulu login now too, and they use that because like they just
That's
I
awesome.
think they got rid of their cable actually, so now they just like
Yeah.
they only use streaming services. So like, it's
Yeah.
definitely a viable option for sure.
That's even what my family's doing now too. I think we're moving from like we have Verizon as ours, but then we're going from that to like just getting YouTube TV.
I know so many people that are doing that.
From what I've heard,
That's
apparently it's pretty solid. YouTube TV. I don't know. I've had one friend with it, but apparently
I've used it a couple
I think my
times.
mother
My
has
friend's
it,
account.
actually.
you get live sports and
You get like everything.
Yeah,
It's like
intuitive
literally
channel.
cable,
Wow.
just on YouTube.
It's just rebranding. Like it's literally.
Yeah.
It's like by the time you pay for if you have Netflix, Hulu, and then so you get like Prime or something else,
Mm-hmm.
you're spending like $45, $50 a month.
Yeah.
You may as well just buy cable at that point. Like
Well, YouTube TV is like $65 a month, $70 a month. Like yeah, it's like expensive. Like it's not cheap, but I mean, but like comparatively to some cable, like it's still relatively cheap, I guess.
Yeah, depending on if you like package it with
Yeah.
like different things, like with like your home internet and like your phone service. So that's like what all gets worked into it.
Yeah.
Some of those prices are going crazy. So like even just being able to like teach that to the people and be like, oh, if you want to watch Netflix and you have a computer, like you could just have the Netflix account and like even screen
Yeah.
share would be something easy to like.
That should be something that we
That'd be
teach, like screen
yeah.
sharing and like all that.
because you just pull it up on your like, oh, I want to show photos on there. Like let me like scroll through that because before like when I used to wrestle like a while ago, my mom used to record them on like the VCR. That's right. Yeah. And then she would we'd have to plug it into the TV to like watch through the recording then, and then the date used to be in the corner with like all the time and everything. And now you could just like do it with the power of Bluetooth, which is crazy. Yeah. So that'd definitely be a useful thing to like teach that older generation like how to usefully use that. Just make things
I think
more
also like I don't know. I feel like it's important to like we're talking about like memories that we had as like kids with like technology being so old and like just to even imagine what it's like for people older than us. And it's like when we're old, like what are the younger people like gonna know how to do? It's just like I think that's something that like Boomerang is like filling that gap of like there's just such a knowledge gap between generations in terms of technology and like what was I just gonna say? Oh, just that like it's like obviously they're like our loved ones, the people that we help, but I think it's also just like like they're such like smart people still, even though it's like hard for them to get to know how to use it. It's like truly like complicated to learn, And
that's the good part about the program is that they can learn at their own pace, but also they can select what they want to learn. So say like, oh, my family uses FaceTime a lot, so let me like learn how to use that function, and then I can like select those videos and go down through and watch those specifically because that would pertain more to my life now. But then also with like the Hangout space and everything and the 24/7 like live questions. So like if you're working on something or like you're trying to say you never sent an email before and you're like, okay, where is like this button at? Like how do I attach like photos to it? That'd be really easy. And like also very inclusive because they can all learn at the same pace, but also they're with a bunch of other people that are also learning at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like taking them back to school almost.
Yeah.
I feel like something else we could teach too, like I don't know, I guess this is just more of a problem in my life because my dad has a Samsung, like he always has had a Samsung, Android, whatever, and the rest of my family has iPhones, so like using like FaceTime and stuff, like we all have to get like separate apps so that we can do all of that because he can't FaceTime and then it's like a whole thing and he was like, okay guys, get this app. It was like, I think it's called like Duo or something, I don't even remember. Not Duo Mobile, like the Duo Flash thing, but I think it's also called Duo. And it was like so complicated. We tried it like a couple times and I was like, Dad, I can't see you, I can't hear you, this doesn't work. And so we kind of just like scrapped that, but like trying to like figure out how to bridge the gap between like, I guess Apple devices and like other devices could be interesting and like, I don't know, a little bit about
just
it,
to add even more complexity to it. Like I don't even know
that could be definitely difficult. Like if we're thinking like pre-pandemic, think about like all the older people in the workforce that like never they were just used to going into work and like maybe you had a cell phone if you were like going back and forth with people, but like in terms of like having like the Zoom or Skype, however you wanted to work it, and then going from like say you're in your 60s and like you haven't retired yet, you've never worked with that. Like I don't even think we worked with it until we had to, and so like we were used to the technology, but I feel like there was definitely a learning curve for them on how to figure that out.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, my this is funny because I was just having a very similar conversation with my family, and my uncle was telling this story, and he's like a CFO, like he's a financial, like, you know, super high up there. So he has like their board meetings went on Zoom, and it's so funny to think of like executives at a company, and like the one guy like could not, he like wasn't in the frame of like his screen or something, and so like my uncle is like, you know, like, Joe, like you gotta back up a little bit, like we can't see your face or something, and it's just like so funny because it's like, you know, they're like, everybody has these struggles really. So.
I feel like teachers, like the same thing with them, like trying to like do all of like the online teaching. Like I know so many, like a few people like personally, and just like a lot of people in general that like were older teachers, and when COVID hit and they did all the online, like they were just like, no. I mean, literally Bob Atkin at Pitt, not to call him out, but like he, after that semester, he was done.
Yeah.
He said bye after the first like COVID semester. When COVID hit in March, he was done after that semester, because everyone, he like went MIA without an email or anything. I emailed my advisor. I was like, is he okay?
Oh my gosh.
I literally thought he got COVID and was like very ill or something.
I remember that.
It was crazy.
I had him that semester too.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about that. Yeah.
That was crazy.
Made his class easier though. I'll tell you that.
So much easier. We didn't have to take final.
Yeah.
I worked all day. I was like, works for me.
Yeah, that worked for me too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I know. But the one thing I was thinking about earlier, whenever we were talking about like the younger generations just knowing how to use technology, I think for sure I don't want to fall into that same like cycle of not knowing technology. Like I think that's something that I'm gonna work at every day to make sure I keep up with it, because I see how like, you know, sometimes I'm not able to connect with like my grandparents or like someone that's older in my life because they don't have the knowledge. Like I don't want to have that same thing happen to like my kids or my grandkids or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's like this would be something I would use like later on, or just like even now, like if it's something new, like it would be a good thing just to try and teach people even our age, you know, realistically, because like as more technology comes out, you're gonna need to learn how to use it. You know, you don't want to get left behind.
You can even make that like an extension of it, and be like, oh, this is, you know how like every company has like, oh, here's the one for like kids. We could like separate them and be like, okay, this is Boomerang, but then we'll have like, and in association with Boomerang, we have something like another name, or maybe like an extension within our website or something like that, where we create videos and have like major tech gurus that know like a bunch of stuff and teach like maybe like coding or something like that, because I feel like that's a huge thing to learn how to do now.
Oh
Yeah, like that's something I would do, like learning like the basics, because like I don't know anything, so like I would do that just like for my own knowledge, not even just to like do anything with it after. I mean maybe, but like I would just do it kind of for fun.
Yeah, maybe for the kids we can make cartoons. They can make Boomerang cartoons.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, definitely not copyrighted at all.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, I think that wraps up what we have to discuss today. We just wanted to speak about, you know, why we created the business a little bit, like the struggles that we've had with it, and a little bit about how it's developed over the years. So you'll hear a little bit more from us in the future about Boomerang, and how you can get your grandparents and your family and your friends to join in the future. But thank you for listening today, and you'll hear from us soon.
Thanks. Bye. I'm so scared.